City Women in Business is one of the fastest growing platforms for diverse women business owners seeking to work with major organizations in any sector, ladies. So that's not just corporate, that's not just local and state government, that's also federal. Wherever you want to do business, we're going to help you do it better and faster. Okay. With that said, today our partner is Kizmet, and we want to invite you to become a member. So make sure you become a member of Queen City Women in Business if you like what you hear. And a little bit about Kizmet Timor is through her company Culture Beyond the Roots. Kizmet's mission is to provide insightful business coaching, strategic guidance on DEI, supplier diversity, and transformative public speaking and training, all designed to foster inclusive environments, equitable opportunities, and a culture of belonging.
My company is Culture Beyond the Roots. I do everything DEI and some business coaching when it comes to supplier diversity. But I am speaking from a corporation standpoint. So I want to make sure that I share that with you, that as I talk, I'm talking from a standpoint of corporations, what they are looking for and what they're wanting us to show up and show out with as we come to them and say, hey, I want to do business with you. Give me a thumbs up if everyone can see my screen. Perfect, perfect. We also have a business on the line. We have Sammy on the line who has a business in Rock Hill, South Carolina. She's gonna share some information with you as well. She's won some big contracts and things of that nature. And she's just gonna share a little bit of information as we go through. I'm gonna refer to Sammy a little bit because she's gonna share some of the wins, the loses that she has. But let's get into the strategies of things first. So what is the problem, right? What is the issue that we're having as far as being small business suppliers and working with large corporations? I too have a small business just like you all do. So I too stumble upon some of those things where sometimes I don't know where to go. But when I speak with other companies or I go to all of these different organizational conferences. As Dawn said, I've been traveling all the month of March. I actually just got back in on Wednesday, heading right back out on Monday to go to the WeBank conference. So you've heard Dawn talk about WeBank. You've talk about the certification. So my responsibility there is to go to that conference, to speak with different suppliers within the conference for them to learn who my 9 to 5 is all about, but to connect. That's my responsibility, is to connect with people, to figure out when they have the expo, what are they offering? What type of services and goods are they offering at the WeBank conference? So I'll be there next week. So let's get back to our story today. So what are large corporations saying? They're saying that they often struggle with effective ways to integrate small suppliers into their supply chain. They're saying that sometimes there's a mismatch when it comes to the supplier and the organization. Sometimes they're saying that despite all of the innovation, all of the gumption that you have, that you can do this, that sometimes we don't know how to leverage the opportunities that are being put in place for us. Large corporations also share that the procurement strategies are a little bit difficult for suppliers when it comes into responding to an RFP or an RFI. Or sometimes we just don't know how to connect, to be honest with you. That's what they're saying. We don't know how to connect. So today, what I want to do, along with a little bit of Sammy's input as well, is to share with you some of the strategies that we have determined are great ways for small suppliers, especially our women, since we are focusing on our women with Queen City Women in Business. What can you do to stand out more when it comes to large corporations? Now, I just put data in here because it's always good to share data before you get into the meat of a presentation, right? So the data at a glance is Walmart is committed to sourcing $10 billion annually from diverse suppliers from 2025. That means that the money is there, right? The opportunity is there. The contacts are there, but we have to make sure that we're ready when we walk in the doors of Walmart, that we can give them exactly what they need. They don't want you stumbling over it. They don't want you to have to come back several times to say that you can do the job that you're saying you can do, or provide the goods and services that they say that you need to provide. They want to make sure that when you show up at that time, you're ready to take it on. Google committed to spending $1 billion annually on diverse suppliers by 2025. Once again, the money is there. Microsoft, 2.9 billion. And most supplier diversity programs across the country, $1 billion in revenue annually in the United States. So never feel that your business, your goods, your services cannot be offered somewhere, because the money is out there. Working with Queen City Women in Business, working with the new platforms that we're putting in place with Supplier Gateway is going to give you that opportunity to source those opportunities out in the best way, so that you can be at the forefront when those opportunities become available, okay? So know that you made a great investment in Queen City Women in Business to do this, all right? So let's get into the strategy so we can give some time to answer questions at the end. Understanding your client. When I've been in the rooms and listened to corporations just kind of talk about, how suppliers show up, whether they're small or medium size, is do they really understand the client that they're working with? We want to make sure that when you are pitching to one of the corporations, research the corporation's business model. Go out to the website, look at what their values are. What goods and services are they selling? Can you match that as to what they're looking for? So don't go in blind, is basically what I'm saying. Know the company, know what they're offering, know what they're pitching for, because you're going to be a part of those sourcing platforms that say, okay, Don Nicole may say, Angel Taylor, this company is looking for sounds and entertainment for a huge conference that they're having. Okay. And let me tell you a little bit about the company. It's Angel's responsibility to go out, find out as much as she can about the conference, as much as she can about the conference. What are the demographics about the company that she needs? Is it more older people than younger people? Does she need to be playing a mixture of music? What is going to help her bring herself to the table? Identify the key decision makers and stakeholders. Most corporations have their information out on their website. So go out to the website. They normally have a supplier diversity portion to their website to tell you exactly who the supplier diversity person is. And if they don't have something that says supplier diversity, they definitely have information out about who their procurement officer is, because sometimes supplier diversity does sit with the procurement team. It doesn't happen like that all the time, but this is just some ways that you can kind of get around it. Most of the time on those websites, they also have their email addresses. I get emails all day long from different suppliers. And when we go to conferences like WeBank, guess what? They know that I'm going to be there, or they figure out I'm going to be there, or they'll even get so bold as to ask, will you be at the conference? And can I meet with you while you're there? Can you come by my booth? Can you spend 20 minutes with me? So those are the things that you want to make sure that you find out who the key contact person is, get that email address, send them an email. And as Dawn said, some may say, oh, I'm getting too many emails from you. But there are some that when they're definitely looking for different things, they will respond. They will say, hey, we're not in an RFP process right now, but definitely keep in contact with me. Or they may say, please enroll on our supplier portal. And we'll talk more about that later. But the main thing under understanding your clients is making sure that you understand their needs, their challenges, and their expectations. So when you receive that proposal, you want to make sure that you're reading through that proposal and combing through and doing a deep dive analysis on what their need is, what the problem that they want you to solve, and what solutions do you have to solve that problem in the most effective and efficient way. Okay. Make sure you tailor your offer. As you're looking at the proposal, when you make that decision that you want to submit a proposal to that particular corporation, you want to make sure that your offer is customized to the products and services that the RFP is requesting. If they are requesting services around, say, supplies, supplies or things of that nature, you don't want to have in your products and services that you do supplies, you do DJing, you do catering, you do all of these all of these different things. They don't want to know all of that. I will tell you that that proposal will be tossed to the side because they're saying, okay, well, this person doesn't know specifically what they want to do. They don't know what they want to specialize in. But this is something, but you're responding to a proposal that's saying this is specifically what I need. And know that about these large corporations. When they send out an RFI for information or a request for proposal, I want you to know that it is specific as to the problem or the services that they are requesting. Dawn, I see your hand is raised.
Yes, I'm getting some, y'all can ask the questions publicly too, but I'm getting some private questions. So can
Okay.
you clarify something are we okay to ask questions sort of in
Yes,
between as
yes,
well?
I'd rather it be interactive.
Me too, me too. Okay, so let me tell you, I'm getting questions. So last week or the week before, we talked about the difference between business capability statements and proposals. And some people on here don't know the difference. Can we just clarify that the business capability statement is sort of the standard resume that explains, while the RFP process, the request for proposal, is when you're getting sort of the green light, you're moving further
Yes,
along and you're responding. And so that should be customized because someone just asked me, how is this different from the capability statement? Do you mind just for people who've never been through an RFP, they don't even know what that is, or RFI, can
sure.
you just explain that for a
Sure,
minute?
sure.
Okay, thank you.
When a corporation sends out a request for a proposal through, most of the time it's through their procurement platforms. That means that they're actually looking for a specific service or a specific good for that corporation. Most of the time for large corporations, you'll find that it's services, unless it's a company like Lowe's or something like that, where they may be looking for new suppliers to offer certain goods in their stores. But for a services corporation, when they pull out a request for proposal or a request for information, RFP or RFI, they are asking for businesses to respond and say, I can provide this particular good and service. So they're wanting to get proposals in to review, either by their procurement person or by their supplier diversity manager. And that those two people, if they're two different people, will look at those proposals. They will do a comparison. They will do an assessment. And then at that time, they will bring the ones that they feel like can meet the standard or meet their requirement the best. They'll bring those people to the table. Normally, they will pick, as many as they need. I'll say that. I won't put a number on it because I've seen us kind of go back several times for different things. But they'll bring those people to the table. And then at that point, that's when you meet with the person face to face so you can do your pitch and share what your capabilities are. That gives you that kind of interview process where they'll ask the questions about the business. How long have you been in business? They'll ask about your capabilities. They may ask about how much have you made in revenue. They may how many employees do you have? Where are you headquartered? They'll ask about what can you offer the company? How can you provide that solution in the most effective way? They may also ask for referrals from other companies as well. So the RFP and the RFIs, when they've actually said, this is what we need, and we need people to respond, and then we're going to assess those things. When it comes to a business capability statement, that's more of you stating what your business can do. And it is you outlining what your business is, what service products and services are offered, giving some history, maybe about some companies that you've worked with before. You may have a couple referrals there in that information, and also including what certifications that you have. Include that in your business capability statement as well. So you want to have kind of some may be longer, one pagers, maybe front and back, maybe better, where they can take that, look at that, comb through it and say, oh, okay, this is what this particular company does.
That's good. I was just telling you,
Okay.
perfect. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank
All
you
right. I
for
didn't know if there
clarifying.
was another. I didn't know if there was another question. Okay.
There is, but I think you're answering it in real time. So
Okay.
keep going.
Okay.
Okay.
And just let me know if I don't hit the mark on something, because I want to make sure everybody's leaving with what they need.
Absolutely.
Build trust and reliability. Deliver on your promises and meet deadlines. I will tell you that if a corporation says that an RFP response needs to be in by a certain time, you want to make sure that that RFP response is in place, in the person's hands, in their portal, whoever, however they are requesting that from you, making sure that that is there on time with all of the information that they requested. Business is business, okay? I was taught, Lauren, this lady said this to me, and at first I was like, oh, that's a little harsh. But she said, when it comes to business, we cannot take it personal. Okay. We are women business owners, and we have to treat our businesses as such, as well as deal with corporations, whether they be 8,000 member corporations or 100,000 member corporations. We have to show up and show out as business women. So when we are asking for deadlines to be met, when they're asking for to be very transparent on your capabilities, don't pitch yourself to do something more than what you can do. And that's the truth. If you know you have a 8-man company or a 1-person company, and you're pitching to service a company that has 10,000 members, either know one or two things. Either I may not be able to take this one on, or have something in place where you can hire other people, because you don't want to miss out on that opportunity. And make sure that you are addressing issues proactively. That is one thing about working with any business that you want to do, is to be proactive versus reactive. Okay. I'm going to take just a moment, if you don't mind, Dawn, to let Sammy tap in here a little bit
Absolutely.
and share who she is and what her company is, and share just a little bit about some of the things in those 3 categories that she's had to do to win some business that she just won in South Carolina.
And Sammy is a proud Queen City Women in Business member and on the verge to partnership. So Sammy, thank you for being here today.
Uh-oh, Sammy, we can't hear you.
Took my headphones off. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes.
Cool. There we go. I normally have headphones on, but no one's in the office today. So, so I'm a full service digital marketing agency. Been in business going on 9 years on my own as a business owner, and about 6 years as the company I am today. With I have a business partner. We have a team of 12. So I've gotten really lucky to go through this process, and it's been fun. When we kind of started, I wish I had this training series that you guys have now available, and then the ongoing one that you can really dive a little deeper into, which is awesome. So like I love that this is available, because I would have loved it, because we have been through so many trials and errors. One thing I wanted to say is we've won a few, we've lost a lot. So when you're going after these things, don't get disheartened. We worked and we worked and we worked. We were about our 3-year mark, and we were placing second in everything we applied for. We were second, and we were losing to the really big companies. So I didn't feel too bad, because I was like, I'm right there with them. But you just can't lose faith. You can't lose hope. You just got to keep trucking along. We just won the Maryland, the state of Maryland. We won an RFP. We're doing their entire recruitment campaign for dental education. So I don't know how we got the hold of that one, but their focus was diversity, and they picked our agency because we have that as an option. We check that box, and we have that outside look. And so it's been a really cool project with that one. About a year or two ago, we won the North Carolina Cabarrus Health Alliance. So we ended up doing all of the rebranding and marketing consulting for the health departments all across North Carolina, which has been really cool. New logos, everything. So that was a fun one. And then a cool one we got was the Georgetown County School. What do you call it? I don't want to say magnet school. I think it was magnet schools. They got a grant. It got like a couple $1 million grant in order to redo some of their more rural type elementary schools, middle schools, and they redid them as like STEM schools and liberal arts schools. And so we got to rebrand everything, new logos, new mascots, everything. So it was a lot of fun. But we also lost a lot. I lost the South Carolina Riverbank Zoo. Yeah, that one still hurts a little bit. I got all the way to the conference room, stood up, gave my pitch and everything with my team, and I didn't quite get it. And so that one hurt a little bit. And then we lost the Tennessee transit system. We got all the way to that last meeting, and we just didn't quite get there. But I wanted to later I can pull up my screen too. I wanted to show you what the difference is between that capability statement versus a RFP. Because when
Okay.
you do an RFP, it's one of those things that, she talks about tailoring it specifically to who you're talking to. Do your research, like she said, go in there, do that research about them, look at the information, and then tailor that knowledge to them. Now, the RFPs are going to lay out very, very specific. You've got to put the exact information that they are asking for and no more. I am real quick to throw a bunch of stuff in there and learn the hard way. We had to trim all of ours down. So because you get excited, right? You want to really like tell them what you can do and show it off, but just keep it very simple, but tailor it to their actual. If they have a question or an issue, your response needs to repeat that issue and then give your solution. I mean, very nice and clean. I'm also a big visual. So when you're tailoring it to what they need, if they're looking for something, you don't always have to use text. A lot of people get, these guys are reading these things, and I'm sure she can attest, you're reading so many of these and they're so long. If you could throw in some visuals, throw in the visuals. We're lucky that graphic design and marketing, we get to make the ads and stuff to give them examples or show off what we've done. So that helps break up the monotony of the text, but tailor it to what it is they're actually asking for. And then the follow-up, right? So the effective communication, keep going, because you're gonna apply and then you're nervous, right? Because you work so hard on this big giant RFP that you sent off, and then you hear nothing for weeks or months, and then they'll have the date will go off that you can submit, and you're still waiting and waiting. Obviously, don't be annoying, but there's no harm in checking in at all. There's
Right.
no harm in checking in and being communicative. Just, hey, don't forget, hey, we're here. Just want to make sure you got everything you need, that kind of thing. But and then the after, once you win that sucker, communication is key. Absolutely. So, her layout here of the strategy is perfect. And I'm so excited that you guys could dive in a lot more.
And Sammy, if you would, can you just touch on, I think you know this as a partner too. We've put all of this in an online training. And so this is why we asked Sammy as well as Kizmet, since we only have an hour, we can get deeper. One thing we're going to do, ladies, because I see you asking questions in the chat. So we are already working with Sammy to put together an RFP workshop. Right. So, woo, thank you, Sammy, because that's going to be much needed. I hear the ladies in the chat say, oh my God, we need this. And so we're going to roll that out probably in the summer, early summer. So stay tuned. In the meantime, you're going to learn about an online training program that covers 100% of this stuff that you already have access to. You just don't know it's there. So thank you, Sammy, for that, for co-signing what Kizmet is saying. And Kizmet, thank you both for partnering. So feel free to continue, ladies. I just wanted to make that announcement.
And then one of the things that Sammy has already kind of mentioned is effective communication. She mentioned being open and honest about the communication, but the bigger piece that I think is not just being open and honest, but be an active listener. A lot of times when we go in and we're trying to, gather all of the information, we're so excited about being in the room that we're listening to respond instead of listening to understand what they're asking us. So make sure that you're an active listener in the conversation. Make sure you're hearing exactly what the questions that they're asking you. Pause when you get in the room and make sure that your response is catered to the questions that they are asking. Because see, at that point, like Sammy said, once you're in the room, that's your opportunity to shine. That's your opportunity to really share your capabilities. That's when they're really going to ask those hard questions. And you want to make sure that you're calm enough that you're not firing off too quick, but you're making sure that you're answering the questions that they're asking. Okay. Now, collaborative problem solving. You have to work together with the client, right? So when you are building that relationship with the client, you want to make sure that you are working together to address the challenges and find mutually beneficial solutions. They have put out an RFP to say this is what they're looking for, right? And you're going to bring your solutions to the table. know that they've met with other people, know that they have some folk in the company that may be saying this will work or that will work, but they've gone externally for a reason. So you want to make sure that when you're bringing your solutions to the table, that you let them know that you're open to working with them, you're open to their ideas as well, where you all can work together to mutually share each other's knowledge, as well as bring the best solution to the table for the company for the win. Leverage your technology. Make sure that you are using technology to communicate, to collaborate. Make sure that your technology is on point. Make sure that it is up to date, the technology that you are using. Make sure that you're a subject matter expert in the technology that you're using, because you may have to integrate into their systems if you're a technology company. Make sure that you're able to communicate effectively in a way that they see fit. So you may be talking to the procurement person quite a bit. You may need to meet with that person every month or every week as you're working on the project. And you want to make sure that that collaboration is really good and that you have a way to meet their capabilities. Embrace digital transformation. I know that we are not all technology experts. I am the first one to tell you I'm still learning, okay? But I do know that there are certain things that I need for my small business in order for me to work efficiently. So make sure that when you're going in, you have those things in place so that you're not behind the 8 ball when they're asking you, do you have integration? Do you have compliance measures in place? Do you have, what technology are you using to meet certain orders? If you're doing, say you're working for a Lowe's company and you're maybe offering a new product, how are you handling your inventory? How are you counting that inventory? How can they ask you for invoicing? You want to make sure that all of your technology and all of those things are in place and up to date before you go in and meet with the client, okay? Long-term relationships, always be focused on the investment in the relationship, because if you have a long-term relationship with that particular corporation or that client, they're going to refer you to other people. Someone bought me a t-shirt that said refer her. And so that's what you want to make sure, that people are referring you to the next person. You want to make sure that you're building that relationship with them, that you're building the relationship with the stakeholders. You may have to work with other departments. Make sure that you're getting their names, their information, and establishing that relationship. Don't establish your relationship with just that one person, right? Ask who else will I be working with? Is there a team that I'll be working with? So that they will refer you out to other people. Yes, we are dealing with technology and platforms and all of that, but never negate the power of that verbal referral.
Hey, Kizmet in the chat. So I know you want it to be interactive, so I just wanted to pull your attention. So a lot of the women are loving the technology piece and mentioning the cybersecurity piece too. A lot of you all now want to make sure that their cybersecurity is up to par and that they have business insurance. Is that right? Can you?
Yes, that was on another slide, but yes,
Oh,
ma'am.
it is? Okay.
That's
Oh,
okay. That's
okay.
okay. So yes, you want to make sure that you are compliant. You want to make sure that you have cybersecurity insurance in place, that you have those cybersecurity measures in place, because you know that any type of breach, you know, you want to make sure that you are covered. The other piece is making sure that you have business insurance. That was one of the things in the takeaways on what you can do now. If you're not all the way in that RFP process, if you're a brand new business starting out, I have a slide that we're going to talk about what should you be working on now. So cybersecurity is one of them. Also, business insurance. You want to make sure that you're covered in case anything happens. You want to make sure that you have that insurance in place. And there are companies out here that can offer you that coverage that is at a very low cost. And I'm sure Dawn has some contacts and
Yeah,
and
I was
partners for that as well.
they're asking right now. And so just so we can keep going, you all join next Monday's talk, because State Farm, Emma Allen, a member and partner, her whole topic is the types of business insurance we need now. So I'm going to put that link in the chat so you can keep on going.
All
Okay.
right.
All right.
Okay. And showcase your flexibility and scalability. Illustrate the ability to adapt to the corporations. That's really the main thing. Making sure that you can do the job. I'll give you an example of there was a small company out of Charlotte, North Carolina that was bidding on some work with the municipality, right? And this person was working as hard as they could to fill out that contract. Well, you know, people started to complain. They were like, oh, then that person is not doing the job well enough. We don't think that they're doing this well enough. They're not doing that well enough. Well, what came to find is that the person didn't have enough people. He didn't have enough people to do the job. And instead of them taking the contract away, what they did was they educated, which is what we're doing now. They educated and said, hey, you don't need this many buildings. Maybe you only need this many buildings. And we'll work with you and work with different, you know, organizations, because they were focused on working with small suppliers. So instead of taking the opportunity away, they educated and let him know that he wasn't scaled enough to do all of what he had said he could do, but gave him an opportunity to build. So make sure that when you're working with corporations, you're looking at, who do I have in the room, in my room that I'm working with, that can help me fulfill this contract? Do I have enough people on my roster, on my employee roster, to help me carry out these capabilities that they're asking me for? Do I have enough people that can help me produce the goods and services that I need to produce in order for this job to be successful and me get a referral to the next job? Because we're always looking at what we're doing now, but the next one that comes along. So make sure that you have inventory. Do I have enough inventory on hand to meet the order? Right? And if they ask for more, do I have enough people in place to do more than what I've already said that I can do? You know what I mean? You have to look ahead. I know we try to take one job at a time when we are looking at, you know, not putting bids in, but you get the bid and you're looking at that one particular RFP and you're trying to work on that one particular RFP. But think about the fact that you may have several people coming after you, right? Your business is so good, your services are so fabulous that you may have more than one person saying, I need your services. You want to make sure that you're scaled enough that you can take it on. But let me tell you this as well. You want to be smart enough that if you can't, that it's okay to say no and pass off to the next one. Because if you don't do anything else, you want to do a great job, a magnificent job, at least one, you know, so you can get the referral. You just don't want to do just a good job so you can have multiple on, you know, multiple on your plate. So think about the scalability that you have. Also think about the customized solutions. Use that as a way to scale. What can I do? I can do this great, and I can do this for you, and then maybe I can do this in the next realm. You understand what I'm saying? So make sure that you are looking at your business. Be very honest about the business and services and goods that you are providing. Okay, we want to win the business. We want to be excellent at what we do. We want to get the referrals, but we want to make sure that we can put our best foot forward in everything that we do. So when we get into the rooms with the procurement officers, with the supplier diversity managers, and we're giving that pitch, that we're giving them all that we got. And when we win that business, we can do it to the best of our ability. Sammy, I'm going to bring you back in for just a second and just talk about, I know you said you want to share your screen before we get to the what can you do right now? But can you share in that big win that we talked about, what do you think that you did the best at in the room with the RFP?
It was really being as clear in what our services were and what our game plan was to be that solution. We when we put the RFP together, we trimmed it down and we made sure that they knew exactly what our service was, how we were going to execute it, the timeline it was meant for, all the communication, who was involved, everything. And so I think being as direct as possible really made it key for them to go through when they're flipping through everybody else's. It was like, okay, this is a good plan. And I think it fit what they needed. We did what they asked, basically. I think that made a big difference. Yeah, really paying attention to the details and thinking, kind of like you said, thinking ahead. If they're gonna ask, if they have this problem, we also thought about 4 other problems that might go along with that one and gave them a solution for that too. So we kind of solved their future issues so that when the service was done, it was ongoing. So like, for example, one client needed social media content. So instead of just offering, oh yeah, we'll make the content for you, here's a bunch of templates that you can give your teams to utilize for them to continue on with the service. Even if it wasn't with us, it continued on the service that they were looking for. And so we gave them the tools extra to help them move on forward, which, in like you talked about, a collaborative and be in that long-term relationship. Because of that, we got so many more projects from other departments that were connected, so many more. And so the referral part is absolutely there. That's all I was like, yes. So, for sure.
Wonderful, wonderful. So we're going to get into just a couple of things that you can do right now as you're starting your business. I know that we've Dawn in being involved with the classes and talking to all of our I say our sisters in business. That's what I call them, our sisters in business. What can we do right now? Like if we're just getting started, what are some things if we're not, at the point of we're still learning how to pitch ourselves, we're still, going to the different events and things like that. What can we do right now? You hear Dawn talk all the time about certification, certification, certification. However, she has created an opportunity for us, if you're not aware, with Supplier Gateway, where you can go in and get your certification in like 10 minutes. I think she said it took 20 minutes tops to get that. And I did it too. I am now a woman-owned, minority-owned, small-owned business. I am so excited that I finally got there. So make sure that as you are participating and being a member, let's make sure that we say that being a member, you too can go out and register for those certifications through Supplier Gateway. So work on those certifications, get that done as quickly as possible. If you are not a member of Queen City Women in Business, this is the time to do it so you can get those certifications quickly. Register on corporations' vendor portals. I want to talk just give me a minute about that. A lot of the corporations that have supplier diversity programs work with platforms that help us to track spend. So they work with platforms that they're able to see their diversity spend, who they're spending with when it comes to women, minorities, veteran, disability owned. And those portals, they have landing pages. The corporations have landing pages that you can click on, register on that portal, upload a copy of your certification, because corporations are looking for you to be certified. Upload your certification on their portal. So when they go looking for technology businesses or professional development or supplies or anything that they need, anything good in service that they may need for their company, they go into that portal and see who's active, who has their certification, what's in place, and the supplier diversity person can pull a list, and you would be on that list based on the information that you have input in that system. And that also goes with your NACES code, the explanation of what goods and services you provide. So you want to make sure if there's a corporation that you're looking to work with, register on their vendor portal if they have one. Build a robust online presence. You heard Sammy. We also have another partner within Queen City Business that helps with building websites and things of that nature. Make sure that you have a robust online presence, because they want to be able to kind of Google you, to be honest with you. Once they get the list, they want to see what you've done, who you've worked with. They want to see your work. And attend those matchmaking events that Queen City Women in Business is putting on. And not just Queen City Women in Business. Do your own research to see if there are other matchmaking events out in the community with corporations or businesses that you want to work with. You want to show up for those things. Show up looking the part with your one pager, telling your capability statement, showing everything that you do, what you offer, and being able to do kind of a 30-second pitch when you meet with that person. Insurance and bonding requirements. I think we've touched on that one. Make sure your cybersecurity is up to date. Make sure you have accurate and up-to-date information, and also making sure that if there's bonding requirements or licensing requirements or industry-specific licensing requirements, that you have those licenses in place as well. And then explore some of the business diversity conferences. They are expensive. I'm not going to tell you untruth. They are very expensive. When you get to that point, and we all will, that's another opportunity where you can go and showcase your business. With WeBank, the National Minority Supplier Diversity Council, the National Gay Lesbian Chamber of Commerce, the U.S. Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and also U.S. Black Chamber. They all have conferences where you can spend the money to set up a booth and then put your goods and services on display. And that's another way for corporations to learn about you, to find out what you're offering, for you to meet those people, because those supplier diversity managers and those procurement officers attend those conferences. But I think what we have here is special. And I think what Queen City Women in Business is doing is very special, because they're taking some of that legwork out of it for you. When you get to that level and you want to go to those things, they are wonderful to go to. But I think we have something very special here, where she's sourcing those things for us and through Supplier Gateway, and bringing them to us and bringing those opportunities to us, because she knows her people. And we're expanding across the country as well. So there'll be opportunities that will be available to us US wide, and hopefully will be global. And we'll be able to do that as well. So there are those business diversity conferences out there. As a person speaking from a corporation, I didn't want to leave that off, because they are there. And I do see small businesses, I see women-owned businesses at those conferences with these big display booths. And and those are some of the people that are reaching out saying, hey, can I have 20 minutes of your time? But as we are building in our area and in our community, I think what we have is very special here, that we have an opportunity that someone is taking some of that legwork off of us to bring those opportunities to us. So I'm going to pull back a little bit, because Dawn knows I get passionate and
Yeah.
I get excited.
No, you're good. I just wanted to couple on. Are you okay if I just tag
Yes,
back
yes,
on
of
for a
course.
second? I'm just gonna say this because I think we're a mature group and it needs to be said. I think the other thing is I tend to find a lot of serious-minded women business owners will ask the question at every registration. Someone says, how do I get $1 million contract? How do I make $100,000? How do I this, right? But they're not willing to spend $299 on an online training course that tells them everything. So we don't want to invest, but we want people to invest in us. We have to change that. And I'm not just saying that for this training course. I'll be at the WeBank conference with you, represent QCWIB, just so you know. And while I'm there, I've invested more money for team members here to be at Charlotte Area Chamber Expo. When you're not playing games and you want to go nationwide, you put your money where your mouth is, like, right? And you figure out what you can afford, and you do small things now. So I'm saying that because I look at these questions and they're all covered in a 5-hour online accredited training program that's already proven, and nobody wants to pay $299 to learn and accelerate their path. So I have to just put that out there. I wouldn't have gotten as far as I got and other women if you didn't invest something and sow your own seeds. So be willing to budget. If you have to get a grant, get a grant. If you need help, I'll help you. We just won another grant that's not published yet. Right. So I just want the other thing that you said, Kizmet, that no one ever talks about. I'm just going to add here. It was on your other slide. We first started, we competed for a multi-million-dollar contract with JP Morgan Chase. Guess what? We didn't get it. And when we didn't get it, you know what I did that nobody really does? I went to the procurement manager and requested a meeting with the team to learn why. You can get feedback. No one teaches you. Don't just take it lying down and be like, oh, well, I guess. Find out why. Because if you don't have good data, you can't improve, right? And I'm just saying that with passion. I'm not mad. So don't take my passion as like, Donna Cole's always angry and preaching. I just want you to be successful. And we're sharing people who've already won. I accidentally got a $150,000 contract by a corporate partner that I wasn't even trying to get. I fell into it by accident, because little do y'all know they tried to make someone do it for free. And when I went behind the curtain and said, we could do this, but do you have budget? Just by saying, do you have budget? They said, well, how much would you charge us? Right. So I teach this in the course. I'm sharing, Kismet, from a place of passion. There's not just one way that gets you there. There's a number of multi-layered ways that we have to be willing to adopt and use that we're trying to teach, right? And so that's all. I'm done. So keep going. I just wanted to share.
And really and truly, that's the bottom line, is networking and being able to be what's the word that I want to use? Being flexible, but also knowing that you're not going to win every one, right? But definitely get the feedback as to why. I'll give this really quick example so we can answer some of these questions that's in the chat. I had one where I was doing training. And I had brought Dawn Nicole in. I had Dawn Nicole do her pitch. I had other people come in and do their pitch. And sometimes it doesn't work out the way that the supplier person wants it to work out either. However, I was put in a place where I still could vet the ones that they wanted me to take a look at, right? And they asked me, to her point, they came back and they said, Kizmet, why didn't you choose me? And I was able to give them a bullet pointed list as to why this one wasn't the one that I chose. And, you know, and like I said, the list that was put in front of me, some of them had previous relationships, you know, with the company. They had worked in other capacities, but some of them just they weren't up to par. They didn't have what I needed. They couldn't deliver the type of company-wide training that I needed them to deliver. They didn't have the capabilities to do what I needed them to do. And so I needed customized things. I needed flexibility with things. And so I was able to provide them with that feedback. So as we go in, like I said, I'm speaking from a corporation standpoint, but I'm really with you in the walk as far as a small business is concerned, because I'm building as well. And so I too need that feedback. I too need to understand how to scale a business if I want to work in some of these municipalities or work with the city and all of these different things with conferences. So know that you're not going to win each one, but like Dawn said, please ask for the feedback so you can understand how you can be better. And then Sammy, I think, wanted to make a comment as well before we start answering questions.
Yeah, I was gonna say, just to add on to that, coming from outside going in, applying, we always ask. And you can, for at least for state and government, they'll always show you who won. They'll always list out who won. So we did our recon, and every time we lost to somebody, we go stalk them the other ones and figure out, oh, okay, so let's see what they did. And I believe they also supply the winning RFP too, the winning proposal. So we got to see their proposals. But you have to ask for it. So it's no hurt in asking. And sometimes they say no. Sometimes we do not get any feedback. Sometimes we don't even get a response. But it does not hurt to ask, and it's okay to do that, and it's okay to lose.
That's right.
We have some questions in the chat, and that's really good feedback too, Sammy. And I'm just keeping you all honest on the chat. I'm seeing people say, hey, I don't mind spending money, but I haven't gotten ROI on things. And I have some responses. I'm sure you do too. Kismet, I'll just go first since I'm the one who mentioned that. I think it's important. The first thing is, right, check your circle. You have to ask yourself, was I in this same, you're in a new circle. You're in a new space today. You are amongst people who are winning. That says everything, right? And now that you are amongst people who have had the multi-million-dollar or seven-figure contracts like Sammy and myself, right? And Kismet, who's on the front line, we will give you the strategies. I will tell you where I've gone and haven't gotten anything, right? And I will tell you also how I maximize, because you can't, it's not just about showing up at the event. Do y'all know that a good event strategy is what happens before you show up, during and after? There's a strategy before of looking at the vendor list, reaching out. There's a reach out strategy that we teach. So so if you are curious about how to strategize your movement so you're not spending too much money, but you're spending wisely, talk to us. And if you're a new member, that's absolutely why you're here. That's what we're going to give you. All right. Do you have any weigh in on that, Kismet or Sammy, as well, just to talk
No,
about?
I would just say what you said was spot on. You know, I'll give myself as a personal example that, you know, I've tried to work with Dawn Nicole in other capacities, but I was always watching. Like, what is she doing now? I was like, she's doing something different. So when I saw Queen City Women in Business, I was one that I was like, in the middle of the night, I said, hey, let me join. Let me put my business out there and join the directory. And immediately she called me and she was like, hey, let's see what we can do together. You know, we've been trying to work together. Let's see how we can work together to do something great. And even as our relationship is evolving, I've had the opportunity to say, you know what, Dawn, I don't think that's working for me. This is really where my passion is. Can we go back and can we revisit that? She was like, of course. So don't be afraid to come and ask the ambassador's questions, Dawn questions, come directly to her, talk about the supplier readiness training. If you want more information as to what you really get from it, there's an outline in one of the emails as well that talks about each class that is there. And then I've even had an opportunity to work with one of our corporate partners, Boots to Heels. I did a podcast with Sandra Hardy. So the opportunities are out there. And so don't be afraid to ask those questions. When you see, make sure you're reading your emails. If you're already members, check your emails that you're getting, because there's opportunities out there in those emails that you may be missing. I think I went out there in the first maybe 24, 48 hours. Once I got in and figured everything out, I was like, oh, hey, here's an opportunity. And I reached out to Sandra and was able to drop onto that. So again, I think it's keep the communication lines open. Make sure that you're asking questions to understand, and don't create your own narrative. Like she said, we're grown women here, so I'm not going to mince my words. Don't create your own narrative in your head as to what you can and cannot do here. Ask the question so you can find out.
So I just wanted to tap in real quick. For me coming outside in. It's not just the saving the money, but for me, this course would be saving time. That would have saved me 4 years of trial and error and learning what to do and what not to do. So having something like this available is really cool, because there really isn't anything this in depth that you could just hop on and go find. So I am shocked.
And know that there's a difference between sitting in this seat as a person who's on the front line and sitting in the seat of being an entrepreneur. There are still a lot of things that you do not know from an entrepreneur standpoint when you're doing it on your own. You know, when you're working with corporations, they have certain things in place and you want to follow, you know, like we said, get the platform, you know, get on the platform, let them see you see the bid, you pitch the bid, you hope yours is chosen. They give you the request for proposal, you complete it, you submit it, you hope you get chosen, you go in, you pitch, and you hope you win the business. But from the entrepreneurial standpoint, there is so much more that we need to learn and be ready for before we walk into the room of winning the business. And this is what this is all about. It's making sure that we're prepared when we walk into the room to win the business.
Wow. And I'm going to get ready. I know we're at time, but first of all, can we just clap it up for our two co-presenters? Can we just, like, every single week, this series has gotten like more in depth and stronger, and we're always learning something new. And to me, this shows that this series works. So we're going to rinse and repeat this, ladies, and we're going to do this in June, and it's going to be called the RFP series. And it's going to be everything RFP, and Sammy is going to have a big part, and I'm going to get some other women even in different states to talk about all levels. So we're going to put that together, inspired by this. So that's the first thing I want to say. In closing, if you're not a member, if you're on here earjacking, we love you too, but we're going to invite you to be a member, because there's much more where this is. If you think you come in here and you're getting a little something, you can get a lot of something if you was a member. Let me just tell you, okay, it gets even better, because one thing that we don't talk about is I call you and I subcontract you. Kimberly Baker will tell you we had a media opportunity. I call her right away to be featured on the news, right? Kizmet knows that in June, we're going to do entrepreneur discovery workshops at a corporation where we get men, women, people with disability. We're doing these discovery by night. It's going to be very intriguing. Everybody in our city wants a piece of it. We also just opened up a chapter in Indiana. And what does that mean for you? If you're a member, you automatically get to do reciprocal business in Illinois, right? Or Indiana, not Illinois, I got too excited, right? In Indiana, in Georgia, right? And we also are opening up the Georgia chapter. So we keep making opportunities for you. I just called Stephanie's business, who's not on here, Identity Dynamics, for a new grant Wells Fargo just gave us. So if you think that what we're doing is sitting around waiting on corporations, think again. I'm calling you. I need you. We need you to grow. We're using your business, but not if you don't know it. If you've been hanging out for 4 months, right? Earjacking and taking cliff notes and you ain't doing nothing with it, I'm not calling you. I need to see you doing the work, right? Because we're trying to make opportunity. I love everybody, but I just keep it, y'all know I'm just very honest and loving, okay? So do the work so we can help grow your business for real. We don't just talk about it over here. We're the women who do it for real. In fact, we have a name for ourselves. The city calls us high maintenance. Y'all know why? Because we're the first group that actually is making people work. right? Because Amy, we learn this information and then we call somebody and we expect something and they're not used to that high responsiveness that we're producing. So keep up the good work. And I'll say this before we close, and then I'll also open it up for questions. On the supplier readiness training program, if you're interested, it's already 5-star reviewed. It's already vetted. It's already been done across multiple states. You can't read these reviews, but there's a whole lot of reviews from business owners all across 3 states. We talk about the supplier ready mindset. We talk about where you fit to the ecosystem. We talk about your pricing. You can't put $2,000 on a line item to Bank of America. They'll laugh you out the door. You need to know how to adjust your pricing for big corporate scale. But we also talk about where to give discounts. We give examples of how people have won work by multi-layering the deal. So all this is in the supplier readiness training course. So definitely invest. It's worth it. If you turn around and you get, even a $50,000 contract and you've paid $299, it's worth it. Invest in yourself. All right, ladies. With that said, any final questions before we wrap up? I know we're a minute over time. Any final questions for Kizmet?
Sandra has had her hand
Sandra?
up for a while.
Yep. Sandy?
Hi, Donna Nicole. I'm just kind of wanted to be a testimony to the supplier readiness course. When I first met Donna Nicole, I was a pilot on the supplier readiness course, and I was a new business. And I'm just like all of y'all. I'm out there, throwing up my hat saying, I want to work for corporations. I want to work for for federal government, but I had no idea what to really do. And I really knew how much I did not have an idea when I started that supplier readiness course. It provided me with so much information that as soon as I finished that course, I was out there. I got was able to receive my federal certification as a disabled veteran. And just being attached to QCWIB, now I'm certified VBE, woman-owned business. I've gone through the gateway and I'm learning and growing. So if you're listening and not investing and going ahead and joining QCWIB, you must definitely do that. If you are already in the community, but you're just sitting there, you're not really doing anything, then you're not benefiting. You must take action. You can't sit in the community and say, I'm not getting any business, but you're not doing the work. It still requires work, but you're in a community that's providing you with everything. I've seen so much growth coming from my business, going from my business. I have an opportunity now, waiting on just the final comeback with a big old corporation to speak to CEOs. So this would not have happened had I not been attached to Don Nicole and in QCWIB. So I'm very passionate, just like Don Nicole, when it comes to QCWIB. And Kizmet is amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sammy, so much. I enjoyed my interview with Kizmet. She is powerful. So if you all can link up with her in any way, go ahead and do that. Thank you guys so much.
And if you want to be featured on Sandy's podcast, reach out to Sandy, who I'm surprised didn't say that. She's always looking for podcast women to interview.